When we hear the word OPPO, we think selfies. And while its newest smartphone stays true to its rich tradition as one of the leaders in the selfie smartphone space, we got a feeling that this one has a little bit more up its sleeves. Hi, I'm Michael Josh, and you're watching GadgetMatch. This is our OPPO F7 review. Let's start with the display. OPPO calls the 6.23-inch 19:9 display super full screen, and it's a major upgrade from the F5. The LCD panel still has a full HD plus resolution, but it's got more screen than before. In order to achieve this, OPPO 2 jumps on the notch bandwagon, a cutout for the selfie camera, sensors, and an earpiece. In return, you get an immersive display similar to the iPhone X. But what we're most impressed about is how the phone looks and feels more premium than any other OPPO phone in this price point. When you turn it around, you'll see exactly what we're talking about. Take a look at its glossy acrylic back. If you look even closer, there's a pattern beneath that sparkles under the light. It's worth pointing out, however, that this isn't really a glass back, it's plastic. But the finish, feel, and the heft of the device almost tricks your mind to thinking that it's glass. On its predecessors, OPPO used a metallic coating, which had a more utilitarian feel to it. The physical buttons on the F7 are found on both sides, volume buttons are on the left, while the power lock button is on the right. The buttons have the same feel as the frame with its chrome-like coating, but they're very tactile and responsive. We also like that there are dedicated trays for both the dual SIM slot and the micro SD slot. Underneath there's a speaker, micro USB port, and a 3.5mm headphone jack. Overall, the F7 is reminiscent of the old Xperia phones from Sony, with its squarish body, glass-like finish, and sharp edges. The previous F3 and F5 have more ergonomic bodies with rounded backs, but we think OPPO had to make sacrifices for the F7 to really stand out. One of the challenges that OPPO has tried to solve is to be able to give their phones enough processing power while keeping the prices low. In order to do that, they've been working with Taiwanese chip manufacturer MediaTek. They may not be as well received as, say, Snapdragon processors, but we've come to find that, especially with their newer releases, MediaTek processors offer good price to performance. Last year's F5's Helio P23 processor was already a step up against its competitors, the Huawei Nova 2i and the Vivo V7. Having said that, the F7's new Helio P60 processor widens that gap even further alongside its 4GB of RAM. Speaking of RAM, let's go ahead and take a look at the entire spec sheet. OPPO claims an impressive 80% increase in performance versus its predecessor. And for those into gaming, you can throw virtually any game at the F7 as long as you dial the graphics setting down a bit. ColorOS 5.0 looks a lot cleaner than its previous version, but hasn't changed so much. There's no better way to say it, it's still an iOS copycat with some stock Android features. The most noticeable difference, though, is the control panel, which is now accessed by swiping down from the top, just like with most Android phones. Let's face it, folks, no matter how beefy the specs of an OPPO smartphone, they will always be primarily meant for taking selfies. The F7 has a whopping 25-megapixel selfie camera, paired with its AI Beauty Technology 2.0. Among its artificial intelligence capabilities, OPPO claims the F7 can distinguish between male and female subjects in a selfie and adjust the effect accordingly. So if you're a guy, you won't look photoshopped as much. Not that that's a bad thing. In fact, if that's your cup of tea, go ahead, turn the beauty filters on. We won't judge. The max beauty setting will still transform you into a lifelike doll or wax figure, so be warned. As for the rear camera, we still have a 16-megapixel shooter, which is the same as the F5's. Depth effect is available on either cameras of the phone, but the effect looks a little bit unnatural. AI is also present in the main camera, and the company claims it can recognize 16 scenes and objects such as sunsets, food, sky, dogs, and cats. During the course of our review, the phone really didn't do so well in the AI aspect of things and had a hard time identifying scenes and objects. Which makes us wonder how much of this is really AI and how much of it is OPPO just wanting to jump in on the bandwagon. With a 3400 mAh non-removable battery, the F7 can take a beating when it comes to endurance. You can trust the F7 to last the whole day, at least 10 straight hours, before asking for a charger. Speaking of charging, OPPO doesn't bundle its super fast VOOC charger in the box, but the bundled adapter actually could be considered a fast charger. More or less, a full charge will take about an hour, which is actually pretty fast. So, is the OPPO F7 your gadget match? If you're all about selfies, then this definitely is, but that's almost expected. What are the other reasons that would make the F7 your gadget match? First, it's performance. The F7 is one of those mid-range phones that performs like a flagship. Second, it has long battery life. And lastly, it's really just one of those beautiful phones that is sure to turn heads. And for that, we awarded the GadgetMatch seal of approval. Here's what pricing looks like in markets where it's available. And that was our OPPO F7 review. For more videos like this one, you know the drill, folks. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, follow GadgetMatch on social media, and make GadgetMatch.com your daily habit. Until the next video, I'm Michael Josh. Thanks for dropping by.